Speaking simply, such a way of fighting against tanks puts an end to the layers of armor, active elements, and other defensive efforts. Moreover, the drone does not really care how far the tank is capable of shooting, since it's just higher than that. Like the battleship, the tank turned out to be too expensive and absolutely vulnerable to the very cheap means of its destruction. No need for guided missiles, tandem, or cumulative warheads. It's just that a kamikaze falls from a height of several tens of meters into the area of the engine compartment, and even if it's not a Russian wooden armada, it becomes a pile of metal with the same success as the antique T-55. And all large vehicles fall into the same category, and in the first place expensive air defense systems, electronic warfare, and so on. And the funny thing is that a swarm of drones with a double guarantee will destroy anything, even if it fires back and hits part of the swarm. Basically, the war in Azerbaijan has just buried most of the armed forces of Russia, which are just designed to conduct a flat war. And all their latest developments are just the evolution of machines conceptually adapted to these kind of combat operations. Moscow didn't get into a fight even with notorious Russian Ichthymnets only because they already understood that any infusion of such equipment, even with Russian vacationers, would not fundamentally change anything, but would only prolong the agony and increase the number of corpses from the Armenian side. Seems very likely the Kremlin realized that they simply had nothing to help Armenians with. The Turks have already burned lots of Russian iron in Syria, and then staged the execution of Russian air defense systems in Libya. Moreover, this execution took place indicatively and harshly when the whole world was watching a large hunt of Turkish drones for Russian panzers. And if there is even a little sanity left in the Russian Federation, they need to remove this rubbish from production and exclude them from their armed forces. And not only them. But nevertheless, Azerbaijan showed something different, since it worked with two echelons of drones, remotely controlled and kamikaze, which Turkey did not demonstrate since it did not work out its own kamikaze drone system, and thus Israeli-made machines were fighting here. And this means something that completely changed the look of the battlefield. We deliberately have not dived into the performance characteristic of Israeli drones, but we understand that the next types of drones will be a swarm of kamikazes that are being developed in the United States. We are talking about robots that independently find and hit targets, exchanging data between swarm units. It seems that this has already been experimentally created and is being tested, and if necessary will be immediately deployed at any moment. It is now while the US military is linking up weapons which can choose targets themselves and make decisions to fire based on artificial intelligence, and if they bother, then everything will be deployed without any ceremonies. And as a result, we may get something that we have not yet met the name of, and perhaps we will give it name for the first time. Such a swarm of drones could be the first vertical minefield. Let's say the drones are assigned to an operational area, beyond which they do not go, but inside it they independently find targets, rank them, establish the order of defeat, record destruction, and move on to defeat other targets. And that certain types of drones are already capable of floating in the air for a day or more. Then, this swarm could be dropped over some part of the battlefield and forgotten by the operators, and they hang for a day or more over the place and destroy everything that is shown in front of them, destroying first equipment and then personnel. This is no longer a fantasy, but literally the next step in the development of technology, since we have already observed all the previous steps, and, as it may seem strange, the penultimate step in this direction was shown by Azerbaijan. Therefore, we do not know what was discussed there on the ceasefire negotiations and what was achieved, but Azerbaijan has such a strong position that even Moscow has nothing to oppose to it, not to mention Yerevan. Although we hope that it is about the withdrawal of Armenian military from the territory of Azerbaijan and establishing actual peace. Well, we will see how it will actually be. At least after the ceasefire agreement, the Armenians immediately violated it, and the Azerbaijani army continued to do what it does the best: fight for their land.